didn't work out. And I was like, flat on my face. Things didn't work out. When I lost my graphic design company, oh God, and the economy tanked. I was in a rough spot. So yes, I'm 57, never been married, no kids, and it rocks. There's ups and downs and everything. Hopefully, as I'm going through this, you'll see both sides of it. And that's what I want to give you. I want to give you the truth of what it's like and why I've made these choices. We've been kind of told you got to be this way. You go to school, you get married, you have kids, you do that. And there's this path that most people take. So I just want everyone to know there are other paths. There's tons of ways you can do your life, your wonderful life. And I want you to be aware of those options and to feel good about it, whichever you choose. Maybe I'll be of some help to you, and that's my greatest wish. First off, that picture of me on the cover, that was before Thanksgiving. Definitely put on like 10 pounds, which I allow myself. I have a lot of fun eating pie and having extra dessert during Thanksgiving and the holiday season. I have a good time. I have a good time all the time, but I'm a little more controlled. Also, don't feel bad. Like, oh, look at John's abs. You put the light above you up here and it shines down and creates the shadow. So, you see me in normal light, 50% of those abs go away. And I need to tell you this as well. I don't think it matters having abs if you're dating and attracting other women. I don't think they care. I really don't think they care. It makes me feel good to look in the mirror and it gives me a little more self-confidence. And it's fun. I always thought it was fun changing your body. I have fun putting on weight. I have fun taking it off. I don't beat myself up, but that's probably why I have an easier time dealing with weight and going up and down a little. But let's talk about why I've made these choices in my life and what it's been like. One of my earlier memories, I traveled a lot with my family, so we're on the plane a lot. I just remember taking off and landing, and I'd look at the houses down below and the city, and I'd look at where we were leaving, and then I'd look when we were landing, and similar thoughts would always go through my brain. I would think, oh, wow, look at all those people. Look at all the different lives they can have. Look at all the different, I could live in this town. I could live here. I could do this. Maybe I'd meet someone there. Maybe I'd be involved in some kind of thing there. I was always excited about those choices. I just thought, wow, there's just so many things you could do, but we only have one life. As far as I know. So I never was excited about doing one thing or having one career or getting married, having kids, working at the same place, doing the same thing 20, 30 years, 40 years. This was fine. And this works great for a lot of people. And they love that. And I think that's wonderful. And I think if you choose to do that, that's wonderful too. For me, I would see someone and it's people in my family. I watched my father. He was an attorney, did the same thing for many, many years. I watched many other people do the same thing. To me, it just didn't seem appealing. It didn't seem appealing to me. I wanted to do a lot of different things. I didn't want to do one thing. And so that's what I did. In doing that, you sacrifice some things. Just like every choice you make, it cuts off some other choices you could have had. I went to film school at NYU. I worked out in Hollywood for a bit. I worked for a production company and we did projects for Amblin Entertainment, which was Spielberg's company. I had a great time. I learned a lot. I've always loved movies and that kind of a thing. But ultimately, I felt it wasn't the right thing for me at that point in my life. After school, I wanted to take off. At first, I traveled around Europe a bit with one of my brothers. We went to Ireland. We went to France, south of France. We were in England, and I had a great time. I just moved to San Francisco. I got a job as a barista. Then I was house painting. I wanted to do stuff while I was painting and making art. I was a fine artist, and I just loved painting. And I just wanted a job. I moved on to Haight Street in Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco. I lived there for a while. I ended up moving back to New York. I did like a year or two there and moved back to New York. And I had a band and we traveled around the East Coast, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, New York City. We played shows 3 times a week. I had a van, did that, had a great time. And while I did that, I started a graphic design company. in New York, and I lived on 59th Street. Actually, I've lived all over New York while I was at school. So I had the band, and I was going to art shows, I was going to movies, I was working real hard to get my design company off the ground, and we did really well and won a bunch of awards. My band, we had a lot of fun. It was a great time in my life. Again, I wouldn't have been able to, if I was starting a family, I would have had to been more serious and maybe cut out the band and not do that. I just ended up working all the time. I had a girlfriend and it was great and we lived together. Had a lot of fun. Then the economy crashed. The dot-com bust. Things went, and I basically lost everything. Yeah, I can laugh about that now, but at the time it was terrible. It sucked bad. And I moved out to California to try to, and lived in Hollywood again and tried to get some business going there. And things were just dead. Things were dead. I got into OBE, which is out of body experience. I started reading all these books on that. I did the Gateway Experience from the Monroe Institute. If you're interested in that kind of thing, you can look that up. And I ended up meeting a psychiatrist named Dr. John Kappas, who is just this amazing therapist. I ended up studying with him at his school, more rapid kind of therapies. And being taught by him was just a tremendous experience in my life. After that, I opened up my own practice and started seeing people, and I've been doing something like that since then. It's another thing, cool thing I got to do. Now, I'm on YouTube and I'm helping people still, and you can reach out, and I still have a private practice where I see people and help people. I love it. So from Los Angeles, I went to Napa, California, overseeing my brother's vineyard in Napa. We made Cabernet Sauvignon. We had a very small vineyard. And that was the fantastic experience. I got to work for Joel Gott, and I got to work at the Franciscan Winery. I was a lab technician with Bunsen burners and centrifuge machines, and you wouldn't believe all the stuff that's involved in making wine. And I did some work for Mondavi while I was there as well. Just a fun time. Ultimately, I felt, I don't want to be a winemaker. I didn't have the passion for it that other people did, but it was a fantastic experience. So it was something I did and learned a lot and had a great time. Again, if I had gotten married, I probably would have had to stick with something else and not move again and not move to Napa and just have a lot of freedom. That doesn't mean it wasn't really difficult. It was hard at times to jump from job to job, to move different states. I kept it minimal. I didn't have a lot of stuff, so it made it easier for me, but it's still difficult. You got to set yourself up in each town. You meet a whole new set of people. Luckily, meeting people, being social was easier for me. I was in a big family. My parents had lots of parties and dinner parties and stuff. I was used to socializing with people of all different ages and being friendly and outgoing. I think I owe that to my background and my family. From there, I moved to a lot of different places and did I can't even fit it all in this video, but I ended up back in New Jersey for a little bit, which is where I'm from originally, and doing things there. And then I ended up getting a job working in the energy field at an enormous power plant in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And it just seemed like an adventure to me. The opportunity came on through a family acquaintance. I got a job there and ran a crew at the power plant. And I did that for a year or two. And while I was there doing that, I met a girl. I moved in with her. We had a fantastic time. I was in a new place. When you're in a new place, you kind of want to get into the culture of what's there. And that's what I did. I'd never lived in the middle of the country. They did different things. There was a different kind of pace to stuff. One day I started running. I lived near a running path that was close to the river. And I just let me run. I had no interest in running. I grew up playing tennis and all the different sports, but the training and it was tough. I was like, let me do this. This is something I normally wouldn't do. Let me start running. I started running, and then I started to do 1 mile, and then 2 mile, and 5K, and then half marathon, and ended up running international triathlons at the end of it all. You get going and you start doing it. So I got into that. What else did I get into? Everybody shoots in Oklahoma. I didn't grow up with guns. Shooting's a big thing, and they had these amazing facilities. And my girlfriend's father would just shoot in his backyard, or just shooting skeet. And it was a ton of fun. And I got into pistol shooting and competitive pistol shooting. I started to compete in tournaments for IDPA, and it was amazing running and gunning, and they had all these courses set up. And one year, and they had a half of an airplane out in the field, an active shooter scenario. Had a fantastic time. If I was married, I would have to spend some time with the kids, which probably I would have loved. I would have had different financial concerns and obligations, which I didn't have. I had a lot of freedom and I could devote myself to these different hobbies and things. I was shooting all weekend. I was traveling for triathlons. And I was back at work at the power plant. I switched over oil and gas industry, which was huge in Oklahoma. And I started to do online training and designing trainings for oil and gas industry. From there, I started my own company. At that point, I started that company. Another startup hired me to do training for their company and design training. And I eventually ran a team for them. They were a 10, 12 person startup. And I worked with them for 4 or 5 years. And they eventually became like 150 people and sold the company for a lot of money and did real well. It was a great time, a great experience. I met some really fantastic people. When that was over, I went back to my company, felt really good about what I was doing because we were helping pipeline operators avoid ecological disaster. It was just a win-win for me. But again, it's just, I kept switching jobs and doing different things, doing whatever interests me, really. And it's kind of just always what I set out to do. But look, if you're going to do something like this, it's fantastic, yes, but I'm moving to Oklahoma. I don't know anybody. It's totally different from Napa, California, and Los Angeles, and New Jersey, and New York. It's very different. So there is an adjustment period. I want everybody to know it's not always easy starting fresh in a new town. There are some factors. You have to be outgoing. You have to do your best to meet other people and get involved. Like what I did, took up pistol shooting and took up running and triathlons. And I learned how to bowl. I took bowling lessons. I never cared about bowling. I got pretty good at bowling, relatively. If you see me bowling and I'm terrible, it's just a bad day. But it's always been fun to try new things and to move to new places and try new jobs. I was very fortunate to have a background where I knew a lot of people and could jump around from things to things. I just always had something inside me. Was like, yeah, I could do that. Yeah, I would start jobs. Oh, you need a bartender? Okay, yeah, I know how to make a gin and tonic. I'll be a bartender. I'd screw people's drinks up left and right. Eventually, I'd learn how to do it. And that's what I did with most things. I fumbled through it and eventually kind of got good and I was good at it at the end. Don't be so afraid is definitely one of my messages. Fake it till you make it. Yeah, I've done that many times and it worked out in the end. This kind of lifestyle suited my personality. So what suits your personality, you have to decide. I want everybody to know there's good sides and bad sides. Would I have been equally happy getting married, having kids, and raising those kids and making sure they had a good life? Yeah, probably. I probably would have liked that too. But I wouldn't have gotten to do all the things I've gotten to do in life if I did that. I always had this wanderlust of, what's it like to live here? What's it like to have this job? What's it like to do this? And I think also too, I never really met anyone who was die hard, wanted to have kids. I've had long-term relationships, but here's the good part of not getting married. When I have a long-term relationship and it comes to the end of that relationship, we part ways. In like a day, it's over. People move out and you move to different, and it's over. When you finally come to that decision, it's over. There isn't the lawyers, there isn't the back and the forth, there isn't the fighting over stuff, custody, dropping off, and picking up. There isn't all that. So is that fantastic? Yeah, I've seen people go through that, and I think it's horrible. And I think if you could avoid that, I think that's a good move. If you find some fantastic woman and have kids and do all that, I don't know if you necessarily have to get married. I think bringing that into the legal system has its own problems. Should we be mature enough to be together? We're going to raise these kids. We have to commit to these kids. Yes, you have to do that. I think I met girls in the beginning when I was in my 20s who wanted to do that, but I obviously I had 0 desire in that, and I let everybody know, so it wasn't really something I wanted to do. Now I'm 57. Could I get married and have kids? Oh, yeah, who knows? Who knows? Or just have kids. Yeah, the marriage for marriage, you're both, in your 50s or 60s, you both have tons of your own money, and you wanna have a big party and celebrate with your friends. I don't see a problem with that. I think I think that's perfectly fine. But for me, I found this worked out the best. Now, I don't know whether, hindsight 2020, I don't know what the best thing is. I know I had ups and downs, and there were some times when I was really between situations where I was like, "Ah." And like you, I made mistakes and made bad decisions. Yeah, I made some good decisions, sure, but I made some decisions that didn't work out, and I was like, "Ah," flat on my face. Things didn't work out. When I lost my graphic design company, oh god, and the economy tanked, I was in a rough spot, and it wasn't easy. So, there are some downsides to being single and not married and not having kids, and on your own. Yeah. Does it rock? A lot of the times, it really does rock. I have to admit, I've gone to every concert, I've traveled whenever I wanted on a moment's notice. I've gotten into things I can't even like, I forget some of the stuff, like, I just remember now that I'm talking about nunchucks. I haven't done them in years, but, like, I have these weird little skills, kind of forgotten about, a ton of card tricks. I know things, like, "Oh, yeah, I'm good at some weird things I kind of forget about." You amass all this knowledge, different things that I think a lot of us don't even think that's our choice to do, and it could be a lot of fun. And it can be a lot of pain. You just have to decide what's right for you. Don't beat yourself up if you don't have rock hard abs or your marriage didn't work out or you're in a tough patch with your kids. In each of our own way, we're all experiencing those tough times in our own way, in our own situation, in our own deal. So don't get down because of the choices you made. You still probably have a lot of life left and you can make it fantastic, whatever that is. But I wanted to make this video because I wanted people to know there's other choices. You don't have to get married and have kids. It's perfectly cool when you don't. Is getting married or just having kids, fantastic. Get a surrogate and have some kids. That sounds fantastic too. These are we get to have this life. We get to have a life full of these choices. We can get fat and sit on the couch. We can get skinny. We can get abs. Learn how to shoot. We can start running in triathlons. You could do nothing. Or you could learn how to bowl, get good at nunchucks. There's so many choices. It's really a fantastic life. No matter how hard it gets at times, no matter how bad dating sucks, or or your marriage, your divorce, and all that stuff. Let's talk quickly about dating. When you have this type of lifestyle, it seems uncertain with dating, but you always meet people. If you're outgoing, you're going to meet people. If you're trying new things, you're going to meet people. So it works out. Don't be thinking whoever you're with, who it's not working out, that's the end, and I got to make this work. It's not true. And there was one time in my life I tried really hard to make it work. And the harder I tried, the worse it got. I thought, oh, I'm older now. I'm in my 40s. I should make this work. I should put an effort in. I should pay more attention to her problems and do all that. Yeah, it was a disaster. The more attention I paid to her problems, the more I got sucked into a world where I didn't belong. And I realized it was me. I was doing it all different. The real me didn't spend a lot of time thinking about that. They weren't really my problems. Some people love their problems. So it's not my domain. And you'll hear me say that in some of my other videos. It's not my domain. What is your domain? Your domain is your life and your situation and making sure it's fantastic and having a great one. And if it's not, you can make those changes and have a great one. Stop with the yeah, buts and I don't know, and it could be. No, you could really, yeah, you could do something different. Believe it or not. You could do 100 things different. Your life is worth it. It really is. And you have no other choice but just to make the most of it, no matter what you do. So young tribesmen, you have a choice. You don't have to, yeah, you don't want to do that. You don't want to get married, then don't. And when you're 30 or 40, decide you want to do that, go for it. You want to have kids? I think that's a better decision. Get a surrogate. Okay. No, you met someone you love. You think she's going to be a great parent. Okay. Make a commitment and have fun raising those kids. I've been fortunate enough to come from a big family and have people in my life and not feel pressure to have any children and do that. So luckily that's worked out for me. You decide. There are hundreds of choices of how to live your life. You could have one job your whole life and love it. You could have five, you could have three, or you could have 30 or 40, or you could be like me. And I can't remember all the different jobs I've had and the different things I do. There's some popping into my head, but I could go on but embrace it and have fun and do your best to meet people and talk to them. People are just so interesting and they have a lot of experience and you think they're one way and you get to know them like, oh my God, this guy's a classic piano player and went to Juilliard. You'll learn stuff about people you can't believe it. You thought that's just Joe. No, no one's just Joe or Sally or just April or whoever they are. People are they have a wealth of talent inside of them. Pretty much everyone I've met. Yeah, I've met some people who are bastards too. But they'll surprise you. They'll surprise you. Every way that someone is with you, whatever pain in the ass, stuff happened to them to make them like that. And if that stuff happened to you, you'd probably be kind of similar. So take it easy on the people in your life and be as forgiving as you can. At the same time, making the most of your life. Okay? I just wanted people to know in the tribe that you have a choice. It's okay to have kids and not have kids. It's okay to work one job and then have 40 jobs. It's okay to do all these things. As long as you're happy and pursuing a really great, fantastic life. And that's what I would recommend you do. I hope my videos are helpful to everyone. I want people to feel good. I want people to embrace their lives. I want people to have an easier time dating. That's why I talk a lot about dating. I had to get back into the dating world after a 10-year relationship and everything had completely changed. Everyone's passing notes on their phone. No one wants to talk to each other. That's crazy and weird. It completely changed. I had a lot of knowledge I had accumulated from the 30 years prior, but I had to update that. And I read a lot of books and I learned a lot and experienced a lot dating again. So I wanted to share what I learned to help people, young people coming up, people my age. We each have our own difficulties dealing with what's happened and the cultural shifts that have happened that made it all pretty loony, pretty loony. So tribe, enjoy those videos, comment, let me know what you want to learn more about. I've really enjoyed having this channel and having people respond and subscribe. It means a lot. And hopefully I've had a positive impact on everybody's life and I'll do my best to continue to do so. So go ahead and subscribe and we'll see you in the next video.